time is the most valuable asset you've got. And most people are bleeding it out like it grows back. It doesn't. You don't get a refund on time. You don't get a second shot at today. And yet you're giving it away to the wrong things, the wrong people, and the wrong habits. Most people don't realize how much time they waste waiting for others to approve their choices. They hesitate to launch that project, to post that video, to start that business, all because they're afraid someone might not like it. They look left, they look right, they ask for opinions, they check for likes, and they wait for permission. And in that waiting, they lose momentum. They delay action. They bury their own voice under everyone else's noise. The truth is, when you live your life through the lens of other people's validation, you're not in control. You're handing over your steering wheel to people who aren't even on the journey you're meant to take. Approval addiction is one of the most subtle but dangerous habits you can fall into. It starts with something small. Maybe someone criticizes your idea, so you tweak it. Then someone questions your decision, so you second guess yourself. Over time, you stop trusting your own instincts. You begin filtering every move through a crowd of opinions, many of which come from people who haven't built anything themselves. That's the trap. You spend more time crafting a version of yourself that's acceptable to others than becoming the version that's real to you. You play small, you hide your edge, and eventually you don't even recognize your own goals because they've been diluted by what others think is best for you. This isn't about being reckless or ignoring feedback. It's about knowing the difference between constructive insight and paralyzing dependence on approval. When you constantly seek validation, you're always a few steps behind your potential. You delay action, you dilute your intensity, and you lose the clarity that only comes from moving forward. Because momentum builds confidence. Confidence comes from execution, and execution doesn't wait for applause. You can't build something meaningful if every move is designed to be liked. Innovation isn't popular at first. Neither is authenticity. If you're trying to do something bold, something disruptive, something real, you have to get comfortable with discomfort. You have to keep building even when no one claps. You have to trust your process even when others don't get it. Because if you're always looking for a round of applause before you take the stage, you'll never take the stage. The time you spend waiting to be accepted could be the time you use to get results. Results are louder than opinions. But you don't get results by seeking permission. You get them by executing relentlessly. Every second you delay to ask, will they like this, is a second you could use to build something they can't ignore. Every single day, people open their phones just to check something quick. And before they know it, 20 minutes have vanished. Then an hour, then more. Social media, notifications, endless scrolling. It's a silent thief of productivity. The worst part is it feels like you're doing something. It feels like connection. But most of the time, it's just noise. It's just a distraction disguised as activity. The brain gets little hits of dopamine every time a new video loads, a message pops up, or someone likes a post. But none of it builds anything that lasts. None of it moves the needle on your goals. The trap is that it feels harmless. 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. But those fragments add up. And it's not just about the time lost. It's about the mental clutter it creates. Your focus gets scattered. Your thinking becomes reactive instead of intentional. You lose the deep work time you need to actually create, build, think clearly, and move forward with direction. Distractions aren't just interruptions, they are detours. Every time you shift your attention to a screen full of random content, you train your brain to crave novelty instead of depth, reaction instead of strategy. The irony is that the more plugged in people are, the more disconnected they feel. Constant access to updates makes people compare, doubt, and delay. They watch others post wins and feel like they're falling behind, so they consume more in an attempt to catch up, but consumption is not creation. Watching someone else's journey won't help you make progress on yours. You have to unplug long enough to hear your own voice, your own thoughts, and act on your own vision. That requires discipline. That requires boundaries. That requires saying no to what looks urgent so you can say yes to what's truly important. People often say they don't have time to work on their dreams, but then they'll spend 2 hours a day on content that doesn't serve them. That's not a time issue, that's a focus issue. And focus is a skill, one that's weakened every time you indulge a distraction. If you want to build something meaningful, you need to become ruthless with your attention. Turn off notifications, schedule your screen time, block the apps if you need to. Your goals need your full attention, not the leftovers after you've checked every platform. Comfort feels safe, it feels easy, it feels like a reward after a long day or a place to relax when things feel overwhelming. But comfort, when chased too often, becomes a trap. It's disguised as peace, but it silently robs you of growth. Hitting snooze, choosing entertainment over execution, staying in routines that no longer challenge you, these choices stack up. They don't scream failure, but they slowly pull you away from excellence. You don't notice the cost immediately, but over time you feel stuck, restless, uninspired, and you wonder why your momentum is gone. It's because comfort became your default setting. When you start choosing ease over effort, you begin to lose the edge that builds winners. Success isn't about doing what feels good, it's about doing what needs to be done, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. The discipline to push through the resistance is what separates people who talk from people who build. And that resistance shows up the most when comfort is readily available. It's in those moments when your mind says rest, pause, or later that the real test shows up. Most people fail it, not because they lack talent, but because they keep negotiating with comfort. Comfort is a clever thief because it doesn't look dangerous. It looks like one more episode, one more cheat meal, one more day off from chasing what matters. It pretends to be self-care, but it's often self-sabotage. Growth requires friction. It requires showing up when no one's watching, executing when no one's clapping, and saying yes to discomfort because that's where change lives. If everything you do fits into a comfort zone, don't be surprised when your results stay exactly where they've always been. Because the people who elevate don't get there by chance. They make deliberate choices to lean into challenges. They say no to what feels good now so they can say yes to something greater later. They don't wait for motivation to show up. They build systems that move them forward regardless of how they feel. If you're constantly seeking comfort, you're conditioning your mind to escape the very process that's meant to sharpen you. And if you escape the process, you don't get the reward. The shortcut is always more expensive in the long run. Comfort is a sedative. It numbs your drive, your hunger, your urgency. When you trade that urgency for ease, your potential quietly slips away. There are two major things silently draining your time: energy sucking people and the illusion of perfect timing. Both will rob you of progress if you let them. Let's start with the people. Everyone has someone in their life who complains constantly, brings drama, doubts every idea, or plays the victim no matter what. These aren't just annoying habits, they are contagious. When you're around people who operate from fear, negativity, or laziness, it's only a matter of time before you start absorbing that energy. It affects your focus, your mood, your ambition, and the cost of keeping those people close is far greater than you realize. You start playing small to stay relatable. You avoid risks so you don't offend their comfort zone. You begin second guessing your own momentum because someone else can't see your vision. Protecting your time starts with protecting your space. That means being intentional about who gets access to your mind. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table, especially if all they bring is complaints, distractions, or doubt. You're not being rude by setting boundaries. You're being responsible with your energy. Because the truth is, every conversation either fuels your fire or drains it. And if you're always in the business of managing other people's chaos, you'll never have the clarity to build your own future. Then there's the myth of perfect timing. Waiting for the right time is just fear in disguise. People say they're waiting for things to settle down, for more clarity, for more money, more knowledge, or more confidence, but life doesn't pause for your convenience. The stars rarely align the way you want. Waiting becomes a habit, and before you know it, years go by and the dream stays stuck in your head. There will always be something missing. There will always be a reason to delay. But successful people act in spite of those reasons. They start with what they have, they build in real time, they learn on the move. Every time you say not yet, you're training your brain to wait. And what you practice, you become. If you keep waiting to feel ready, you'll never launch. If you keep waiting for others to support you, you'll never lead. The people who make things happen are the ones who stop waiting and start building with what's in front of them.